some of us have been doing botnet tracking for quite some time. We've been doing it over the last 10 years, and it's interesting to see how this new wave of botnet operators are relearning a lot of the things that had already been learned by sort of the traditional botnet operators from some time ago. Most of those were controlled through an IRC channel,
yes.
And then they went to sort of a web-based command and control channel. Most of the ones now are more of a custom kind of interface, but nevertheless, they still have learned some of these techniques. That is, if you are really trying to recruit them, you don't necessarily scan so much. It might save CPU for doing other things that the botnet's being created for, which obviously is not one of our objectives here. Okay, so with that, you've been taking a lot of a look at the Mirai botnet, and tell me a little bit about these trends that you're observing.
Well, it's always nice when the graph looks like this. I wish this was my retirement account. Unfortunately, this is the number of samples of Mirai that we've been kind of capturing. So this week we added a new feature to the Internet Weather Report. We wanted to present a little bit more about the botnet analysis work that we do. We focused on taking a look at the extensive research we've done over the past few months on the Mirai botnet. We started our analysis probably in early September here, and at the time we only were looking at like 17 malware samples. But using various techniques over time, we figured out how to get additional samples for analysis. I think the source code was released just a few, the time before here, and so the number of variants of the malware, people taking the code, compiling it and sending it out, just increased. And you could see how many samples we ended up. Right now, I think the cumulative is about 728 samples. You could see that the number of variants has basically doubled over time in our tracking system. I mean, we went from 33 like in the beginning of February to then doubling and then doubling and doubling again.
So it's going up exponentially.
So that's not a great trend.
No. I guess, well, first of all, it looks like here that you sort of have the early experimenters and then perhaps a number that sort of dropped out after that. Does that seem reasonable? Or or some of them just really persisted in using the same version for a period of time?
Yeah, I think it was just much fewer actors here, like you mentioned. So maybe only a few people. So here, right around this time, I believe it was just one or maybe two people who were running the botnet. But as soon as that big attack happened against Krebs, I believe whoever it was that was running it decided maybe I shouldn't be the only one with this version of the source code on my computer. So they released it, and I think there was a lot of copycat behavior. And some of this is actually like researchers, I think, just trying to do different things. But I'm not sure what happened here. This is, it's not great.
Yeah, so as we've seen as we were looking earlier, it seemed like the trend in terms of the number of devices has been going down, or at least what we're seeing in scanning activity, but the number of versions of malware that are out there, actually new versions of malware that are out there, and obviously cumulatively going up, is increasing significantly. So we're going to need to keep an eye on that. This was one of the problems that existed for the antivirus vendors in trying to protect against viruses or malware that was created for Windows devices. Perhaps that's sort of the trend toward IoT type devices as well.
Yes, I think so. I think even this doesn't even account for all of the packed versions of it and things like that, and all the slight variations. Our work is cut out for us.
Our work is cut out, okay.